Yeah, I think looking at it, obviously during the 5 days there were areas where we need to improve on and we need to play better cricket. But looking at today, if we just look at today, I'm unbelievably proud of the performance the boys put in. That surface really became a minefield and was very, very difficult. Australia got the ball to reverse swing considerably. And if I look at probably just about every dismissal, it took a real crack over delivery to get the batsman out. So you can't, as a coach, you can't really ask for much more from your troops than the way the boys battled there today. So disappointed, but at the same time proud of the effort.
You would say that the way they played on this surface, it gives you some comfort encouragement for the next 2 test matches, provided the surface is good.
There's quite a lot that gave me encouragement. I think that, a lot of our batsmen now have spent some good time in the middle, so they've got themselves going quite well. The bowling performance was better in the second innings, and Rangana, as we thought he might in the second innings, he might start to cause some problems, and that happened. So I'm hoping that as a group we're all improving and finding our feet. It's always hard at the beginning of a tour, and these days, without a lot of time to prepare in terms of practice matches, etc., you're straight in, and it can sort of go one way or the other. Things can go downhill, or you can improve. And I think during the 5 days, all our players started to find their feet and started to improve, so that's encouraging.
Graham, was the variable bounce in the pitch fair enough for a 5th-day surface, or do you think it went a bit beyond it?
Well, you get a biased answer after the results. Look, I suppose if we look at the pitch and we look at the test match that was played, it was an entertaining test match, and a lot happened. There were lots of runs scored. There were bowlers took 5 wicket hauls, and it went down to the last hour. So if you look at all of that, one's got to feel that the pitch was a good test match pitch. But looking at the way and some of the deliveries bowled today and the way the ball behaved, you had to say that there was a lot more in favour of the bowlers than there was for the batters, and perhaps a little bit unfairly so.
I know you probably want to focus on yourselves, but do you also take heart from the fact that I think coming to Boxing Day, Australia will probably have half a dozen of its fast bowlers out of action, and possibly its captain Michael Clarke as well?
Yeah, look, we haven't even thought about that at this stage. As you say, we need to look at ourselves, and we need to look at the cricket that we're playing. And as I've pointed out, there have been some improvements already, and the character shown was really important. And we've got to stick together as a group and prepare hard, and whatever 11 gets put out on the field against us is going to be a tough side, and it's going to be a tough challenge.
You see, you have sort of put the openers problem on. The problem with the top order seems to be still around because the openers are giving a proper start. So it's something that you have to work on?
Yeah, it's not one of those things where you can just flick a switch and it all comes right, but as I said, a lot of the batsmen spent time in the middle in pretty difficult circumstances, and you've got to feel that they're finding their feet in Australian conditions. We have been through a bit of a run where we haven't got off to great starts. The 2 openers both showed decent form in this match, and both showed that they're up for it. And great to see Sangha really work hard, and there's no doubt that there's plenty of runs due to come from Sangha and the rest of the order. So, there's nobody who I'm looking at and saying I'm worried about their form. They all look like they're finding form, and they're all in pretty good touch.
Based on what you saw in this match in the fast bowling unit, I know Cool is your senior bowler. Do you expect to go into Melbourne with an unchanged fast bowling unit?
Oh, it's too early to start answering those sort of questions. We'll need to sit back and analyse, and going ahead, we've got tests very close together, so physical conditioning and fatigue management and that kind of thing will all come into the decision making process. So too early to really talk about that.
Graham, the way Australia's bowling performances unfolded today, does that show that Australia's pace attack is a concern for you and Australia's spin attack isn't a concern for you?
Not really. I mean, I think they all bowled very well. They bowled well as a unit, and they did have the handicap of being a bowler light, so that affects things as well. But I think bowlers had different roles, and we know that this ground is not a huge spin-friendly ground. So I think Nathan Lyon's job was more to do the holding job and to rest the seamers because they were seamer shy, and the seamers had the job of striking, which they really gave themselves a chance to do. So I don't think it's really us analysing and saying we've got a problem with one type of bowler and not with the other. I think we've got to play against the unit, and we've got to adapt according to conditions on the day.
Do you have any concerns with Australian ball management?
Look, honestly, I don't really know too much of. I know there's been a bit of a rumbling today, and at a stage in the match referee came to me and said that they had noted an incident and that they had spoken to the Australian team and not to worry any further about it. So, nothing that really I can comment on as far as that's concerned.
Graham Mahalo was saying he, as a camp, he saw some footage that may have suggested that. Did you see anything? What was did the vision show anything that raised?
Yeah, I think that's where it started. It's apparently, and as I understand I'm going on hearsay, but I believe that the match referee and the third umpire noted something. We have since seen that. And further than that, I really can't comment.
Earlier, when Shane coming into the match, Shane Watson said one of the things Gabby had known before is that he has to get used to about facing spin from the start of his innings. In the second innings, there was at least 2 occasions where Ghana had him in a lot of trouble. Do you think that's a tactic you'll employ for Melbourne and beyond, using spin first up against him?
Possibly. Again, it would depend on the conditions. If the seamers are going really well and we've managed to get a couple of wickets early on and get him in early, and the new ball's working for us, then probably not. But Rangana is going to be an important part of the bowling unit, and we'd look to use him against a lot of the batters and trying to get him to give us some sort of an edge.
Graham, there's a chance the Aussies could play 2 left armers in Mitchell Johnson and Stark in Melbourne. How do you think does that make them more dangerous as a bowling attack?
They're fortunate enough to have some really talented bowlers, and they really are bowling well. And what we saw of Mitchell Johnson against South Africa looked like he was bowling well. Our boys are working hard against that sort of bowling, and we're doing as much practice as we can from those sort of angles, and we've just got to continue doing that.
If Michael Clarke doesn't play and Shane Watson is the captain, is that a vulnerability you'd look at exposing, I guess?
Well, I don't think it's something that you can really expose. There's no doubt that if Michael Clarke doesn't play, it would be a big boost for us. He's just such a wonderful performer, and played a huge part in taking the game away from us here with the partnership on the first afternoon, and then in setting the target the way he came in and played on quite a difficult surface was amazing. So as a player, he's a huge factor, and tactically he's a huge factor. Shane Watson's captaincy to us is pretty unknown, but I'm sure that the team and the team management and the senior players would all gather around to make sure that things operate pretty similarly to the way they are now. So I don't think that's going to be a massive change, but not having Michael's skills around would be a bonus.
Do you feel as if the Melbourne pitch will suit your team a bit more than the Hobart pitch did?
I think history suggests that MCG and Sydney probably would help us a little bit more. Although this is a new surface here, the spinners haven't done that well here, and the other ground spinners have put in match-winning performances. So we'd like to think that we're better equipped in those two grounds.
Graham, talk of ball tampering or whatever you want to call it can raise some pretty high emotions at the best of times. Do you have any thought to having a bit of a chat to the Australians just so it doesn't become a sore point?
It's all pretty fresh, and with us today, really just trying to focus on the job in hand, and we haven't even discussed it. So, nobody likes to have a nasty incident, and definitely don't want any sort of incident blown out of proportion. But we'd need to discuss it further and then see how we can go about it from there.